All right, folks, welcome to another of our delightful gaming discussion videos.
Everyone
Uh,
loves those.
we end up continuously doing these lately because, shit keeps happening. So, as you may have remembered in our last couple videos, we were discussing some of the Nintendo stuff going on with the tariffs becoming a convenient excuse for rather ugly displays of blatant greed and opportunistic behavior. Well, as 8-Bit Eric put it, the worst selling console in the generation has decided it would be a great idea to follow Nintendo's lead and join in the price hiking.
Well, if I can say anything on
You
it,
go
I'm
ahead
going to
and
say
I'll let you
this
go.
was going to happen with most of these corporations regardless. It was just who did it first. And I'm not going to say that I'm shocked that Microsoft would make this move. I was just shocked they were the ones to do it second.
Frankly, it's a worse idea for Microsoft considering the position that Xbox is in right now. But let me get to the actual meat and potatoes, so to speak, of this mess. Um,
Yeah.
what we are basically looking at here is after Nintendo put that announcement where they were raising the price of the peripherals due to blah 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 excuses, they're like, yeah, so because of such and such cost analysis, the usual oh no, Trump tariffs, which they are what they are, whether you agree with them or not, they exist. But they
Yeah.
basically did almost exactly what Nintendo did, and they put out a thing like, well, we understand that this will be a difficult transition, but we're going to be raising the basic cost of our in-house, note, first party in-house developed games to $80 from here going forward, and we have also henceforth raised the price of our peripherals, and they are almost identical price hikes to the ones Nintendo made to their peripherals.
Yeah, because this was something a lot of these corporations were just waiting to happen.
And before I get into the weeds on that, I have already seen the gloating assholes from the PC gaming community. And when I say the PC gaming community, I mean the assholes who are always looking for an excuse to shit on anyone who's not a hardcore PC gamer, posting memes of Gabe Newell laughing and talking about, well, it's time for everyone to transition to become PC gamers now. No, it isn't.
Well,
No,
you
it's
don't
not.
own anything, so there's
Because
nothing to gloat about.
staying out of the weeds with the whole you own nothing thing, the whole other issue is, the complications of maintaining PC gaming, especially if you're playing higher end games, constantly having to update your rig, the cost issues with, again, because of tariffs, of fucking getting, let's say, parts for your PC when it comes to hardware costs is a whole separate issue, which is
Well,
having
that's
the
gonna be
same, I say it's having the same damn problem because getting, motherboards, CPUs, GPUs, it's all going to be subject to the same fucking issues of the price hiking. You're not getting out of this, guys. You're just not
well,
getting the same pricing for games, but your hardware is going to get worse.
they'll eventually catch up to them. It's not a sheltered market. They're only going
No.
to be able to do so much, and it eventually will affect everyone.
Yeah.
It's a zero sum game, and this is one of the things. I don't really care what people play on. I
No.
care more that people are losing options and actually having worse situations. You're no longer buying a game, you're buying a license to play a game.
And that's a
And
Nintendo specific issue when
it's
it comes to
also
physical media
most
anyway.
PC anything anymore.
And yeah,
So
it's almost everything on PC unless they give you a physical like USB copy
people
like some
gladly
do.
gave up their rights for convenience. So it's a bad game for everyone. And I think it just sucks. And I really don't care what people play on or don't play on. I'm more like, this is
Because
garbage,
I've
but this
had
was
some
going
people be
to.
like, "Oh, well, you're just attacking No, I'm not attacking PC gamers.
No.
I am having a little bit of a row with the PC gamers who want to shit on everybody who doesn't agree with them or who happens to prefer a console to a PC for logistical reasons. But other than that, no, I get pissed off when PC gamers get fucked over, even if they're assholes. It's not something you should be having to deal with as a customer or as a gamer. It's bullshit.
Well,
But
it's the market getting dramatically worse for
yeah,
everybody.
because it's these corporate execs doing stupid shit. Like recently, as an aside, we had Walmart and Target stores just arbitrarily decide at the executive level, basically also fucking up the managers of stores that run a decent business, that they were going to go complain to the White House about the tariffs and raise the prices on all their customers completely by choice, by no necessity, by no
Because they want
logistical
that cheap
point,
Chinese stuff.
because they think that forcing higher prices on their customers is some form of protest that's going to affect the decision of the tariffs being a thing.
Because people definitely won't. In fact, I think it's a positive because it means people will go to other stores.
Yeah, I mean, especially like fuck Walmart. Walmart's been a shit show for years now. The
Yeah,
fact
it
that some
has.
of the Target stores are going to be subject to this is unfortunate because we know a lot of decent people that work at Target, but they're executives, much like, when the guy at Square fucked everybody over by jumping into NFTs and DEI shit. He, screwing over the corporation. Good people get screwed by bad decisions. Gamers and employees both.
Well, people are going to suffer no matter what. And my big thing at this is that this was going to be something that all of the corporations do. All of them are waiting greedily for some idiot corporation to take the hit for them and then do the exact same thing. And the
And I
problem is
feel
that
like, go ahead, you first.
folks want to turn it into an us versus them thing when it should be, well, this sucks for gamers. We should be at, at least backing
Yeah.
each other up,
We
and
should be
instead it's like,
universally
ha ha.
complaining about this instead of going, ha ha, stupid console gamers.
I
No,
want Xbox
moron.
players and Switch players and PC players to get the best possible product. And
Mm-hmm.
what I'm seeing is just people going, well, I gave up all of my stuff, so I'm happy you're losing yours.
Mm.
And
It almost
it's
feels that way.
ridiculous.
But there's that whole issue there, and then I saw,
Yeah.
apart from the PC master race quotation marks
You mean the
gloating,
PC's surf race?
ugh,
Well, that's what they are. They don't own anything.
I know, but it's
Go
so
ahead and
tight.
explain the piracy thing to a court and see how that works out for you
It's so
guys.
tired at this point. I get sick of even bringing it up, but then people keep bringing it back up, and I got to talk about it
Well,
again.
I try to keep people out of jail, and then they go do stupid things like, well, if you,
I'm just
I don't
gonna
own
go. I'm
it.
gonna go sail the high seas, bro. Well,
And it's
have fun
like,
if you get
okay,
caught.
well, good luck.
Anyway, and then I saw another thing where somebody was like, "Well, Sony to follow suit." Kind
Yeah.
of, but not exactly. Sony
Uh,
Sony has done something different, which, well, it serves to benefit us folks here in the US, but it is kind of still carrying on a tradition in certain countries, which sadly is more of a governmental issue that has kind of brought this on them. So
oh,
Sony did announce some price differences,
oh no.
and the US is entirely fucking unaffected by this.
What
So for us
happened?
here in the US, it's great. They're not raising their game prices. They're not raising their peripheral prices. What Sony did is they did a risk analysis and a cost analysis, and
Which you should do.
they decided that there were going to be select countries rather than doing the universal thing like Nintendo and Microsoft have done. There are going to be specific countries that have, let's say, unfavorable import costs or unfavorable currency exchange rates, etc., that are going to be getting price hikes.
Yeah.
So, from what I saw of it, we are talking most of the Arab nations, the Middle East.
So the Middle East is getting screwed
The
again
Middle East
in
is
that
getting
regard.
shafted again because, again, exchange rate differences and import costs. New Zealand and Australia, unfortunately, as always,
My
by
lord.
pretty much it seems like any corporation, because of the, and I have a friend who lives in Australia who would support this, because of the really belligerent, terrible import costs and exchange rates and governmental fucking tax bullshit. New Zealand and Australia are once again getting completely shafted and getting massive price hikes again on imports, which is going to include, Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony for different reasons. So New Zealand's getting it, Australia's getting it, um, the Middle East is getting it, Africa's getting the price hikes.
Sorry to anybody hears the thunder. There's a
Yeah,
little bit
we're
of
having
weather
a
going on
mild
in my
storm
area.
out here. But yeah, that's so they're like, yeah, there has been some cost analysis. Um, from what I saw, it looks like Canada and the US are entirely unaffected. It's mostly those countries that are getting what I would call the sadly traditional price hikes with inflation and their own governmental nonsense, frankly.
Well, isn't this what always happens to these poor countries in this regard? Is that they have like
Yeah.
crazy import tax. Like Brazil was a one
Oh
that
my
I
god,
remember
yeah.
having really bad import taxes, and it's like, oh, I always feel bad for these countries when it comes to their customers because man, it's just, mm, it's crazy some of the importation cost.
It's
Um,
terrible. I mean, it was why, by my understanding, that in some parts of South America, PC gaming was so big is because it was just so difficult to get a console because of cost.
Steam was like the most cost
Yeah,
effective, especially with a VPN. And some of the countries are still trying to like come down on that.
yeah.
It's ridiculous the whole freaking situation with that. But it just sounds like overall, most of this is just getting worse for everybody.
It sounds like
But it was
Sony is
going to happen
basically
no matter what.
maintaining like their normal cost analysis, which still sucks for gamers because of the unnecessary taxation and import silliness. But they are doing it in a, I would say, a much more balanced means, however much it may suck, and it does, than
Yeah.
Nintendo or frickin' Microsoft, which is just sad.
Well, anybody in worth their salt and with half a brain knew that this was going to be the shift the companies were going to make. That they wanted the game prices to go up. They want these things to be in this situation, so they were just waiting for an excuse, and
Hmm.
they were going to do it no matter what happened politically. This is just a bunch of very convenient excuses for what they did, and it's really ridiculous. But you can always make the argument, make better games, but
And there's
when they want
another
to
thing I
bloat
would
their
like to,
staff.
yeah, there's another thing I would like to point out as far as the game pricing thing too. Bear in mind that it is not gaming as a whole that is responsible for this. It is the corporations, because I want you to remember one careful thing about the wording of this gaming price hike thing. First party titles.
Yeah.
That's why when the prices all went up to $70 plus, a lot of the AA studio titles, indie titles, you can still get those for anywhere between 30 and $50. Even for hard copies on the current gen consoles. It's all
Well,
about the studio being in-house of the corporations who are hiking up all these prices, going, yeah, we're going to enforce this and we're going to make sure all of our games come out at this price. Double A, studios and independent studios, they don't have to be adherent to this shit.
also, I'm going to make this argument. There is like with taxation, there is a
Mm-hmm.
certain percentage you can get to before you actually start losing money.
Yep.
And I think what you're going to see is a lot of these companies are going to cry poor more and are going to want to do more price hikes because what's going to happen is you're going to see people actually buy less.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to be like, okay, well, I'm going to wait until I see this is a really good game. And if it's not, I'm not going to buy it.
The
And
biggest effect it's going to have is more people are going to vote with their wallets when it comes to console games, and eventually, PC games are going to follow this trend. Because
well, they're
if
going
they're
to want
made
those
in house,
prices.
exactly. Because if they're made in house or one of these big studios makes them, they're going, oh, well, we should start raising the price of these PC games too, because they're AAA games. And those are expensive to make,
Well, I've
guys.
already seen what the prices are with them when they're not even offering
Yeah.
like a
No
physical.
physical edition.
There's nothing there, and the prices are already doing that on the PC side.
Yeah. It's
The
always going to
only
be a matter
virtue,
of the most predatory companies. Like, look at how much Ubisoft charges for a non physical PC title before they inevitably have to force it to be on sale because nobody bought it anyway.
well, eventually these things will be on sale, but if people think Steam's immune, then they got another thing coming to
Well,
them.
they either
All of
don't know
this
how
will
a
follow the
market
trend.
works or they're not paying attention in general.
But I think this is a thing, and hopefully it will tip a lot of these big corporations into just completely collapsing to a degree so that they have to go back to leaner teams and actually have to focus on the quality as opposed to just
Hmm.
pumping out massive, pointless, piss
And
shallow games.
I brought this up in a previous video, but Claire Obscure had a 33-man team. The game cost the standard fucking price, which was about $50, $60, depending on which version you got. And it is sold out nationwide. I had to get a digital copy because I ordered a physical copy and I have to wait for them to restock.
Well,
Amazon sold out of them worldwide. GameStop can't get any more.
it's the
It,
simple fact is that they made a game people want to buy.
it
And
is one of the highest selling games right now everywhere. And I actually have got to play it now and I can, yeah, it's a good damn game. It is really good. And you, even if you're not in love with turn-based RPGs, I would still suggest giving it a shot if you have to get the digital version for a change till you can get a physical, cuz I was really surprised by that game. And it's just proof that you don't need all this bullshit. It's just so you can charge these exorbitant fucking prices to make a game that people want to buy.
well, that's the thing is that they don't want to talk about the quality problem. They want
Nope.
to blame it on the price and say the price is the problem as opposed to actually coming up with things. But it's the reason why half these corporations buy smaller studios because they're not creative. They don't get a lot of creative people. They
No.
get people who are looking for job security. And that can be, I can understand why people would want it, but that doesn't mean anything in an industry like game creation. You
Yup.
have to have people coming up with unique and interesting ideas because otherwise you're just going to get passed by.
And it's just become the norm these days, whether people want to admit it in these corporations or not. Hollywood is sucking wind and collapsing right now because they're too expensive. They're too freaking. They're like a shark out of the water. Their own weight has started to crush them because they can't maintain it on their own.
They're a great white in a pond.
Yeah.
They're not catering to things that their potential audience want to see. They're catering to what people who aren't their audience want to see, and the
Well, as
people
the little
making the
platoon put
thing.
it, when he was complaining about the Snow White movie, they're writing for themselves.
Yeah.
And they're so out of touch, they don't understand that most people don't want to spend money on this, especially not when they've made things so much more expensive.
So I'm happy that a lot of these large conglomerates that are making games are slowly dying out because it creates space for people who are creative and wouldn't otherwise be able to get the attention to
Hmm.
go out there and do things. So that is a good thing in my opinion, because honestly, when we look at it, it's like, yeah, I feel bad for people with the Sony thing. I feel bad for the folks with the Switch and of course Microsoft. Like, do these people need another kick from these companies, especially when a lot of people don't have that much spending power to begin with?
Uh huh.
But it's ridiculous, and I think the future is brighter, but it's going to be rough in the midterm. While a lot of these companies just kind of, well,
Well,
for lack of a better term, collapse.
the old adage of it's darkest before the dawn is pretty fucking spot on.
Well, it's like a forest fire. To put any degree of positivity on it, is it gets rid of the old growth so that the new growth can come in stronger and healthier, and that can be a positive thing. It sucks, and I don't like to see people losing their jobs, but at the same time, let's be perfectly honest.
Some of
Most of
these
these
people
companies
have
have
been
been going by
so
sheer momentum.
well that and the people who complain the loudest. Some of these people have been so odious and hostile. It's hard to
Well,
feel bad for some of them.
and let's be perfectly honest, a good chunk of those politically minded people don't care about the quality or the product.
No,
They're
just
simply
their
there
messages.
to push their message and to collect a paycheck. And that's why they're there. And I don't feel bad. Those people can go work in a coffee shop.
Ooh, that was a
At least
loud
that's
one.
my opinion, you know.
Yep. All right, folks, with everything considered and the storm, we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up for now. Hopefully, you guys will take something away from this. And I know other people are talking about it, but we tend to like to give our spin on it for the people that watch our channel. So hopefully, you
my
enjoyed this, and I'll let him close this out.
my advice for anybody is for the next couple of years, take a little time and when you're interested in something, see if you maintain that interest and then go and get that item and work on your backlog. These companies do not need and should not be trying to pressure you into getting some of this newer stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Let these companies prove to you that they are going to provide quality products worth the price tag. And if they're not,
Exactly.
let them suck wind. So thanks for joining us and have a fantastic day.
See you later, folks.